What you see on the screen is a pictographic representation of an Egyptian ceremony called the Weight of the Heart. According to the chapter 125 of the Book of the Deads, the heart of the dead was weighted in a weighted balance by Anubis in the presence of Osiris and other 42 gods. On one of the dishes the heart was placed, and on the other the feather of an ostrich, symbol of Mat, goddess of truth and justice. The heart, if it was just, the balance would keep in equilibrium, allowing the one to meet with Osiris in the afterlife. Otherwise, it would end up being devoured by the beast Amit. As you see, painting was the only cardiac image technique available in ancient times, and in spite of how much the world has changed since, we, present cardiologists, keep drawing hearts. Hello, welcome to Cardio Flash College, a place to learn cardiology with flash animations. As you know, in this channel we try to represent with drawings the complex and fascinating world of the cardiology with the objective to ease the process of academic formation. However, we are not the first to do it, because the heart has been the object of study and devotion since the beginning of time. The visual perception of its beats and its unremovable connection with emotions have motivated the interest of an uncountable amount of people to unravel its mysteries and immortalize in an image its functioning. This is why these are 5 images. Heart. Number 1. This is a chest X-ray performed in 2 projections, posterior anterior, PA, to the left of the screen, and lateral projection to the right. In both, it is possible to identify not only the heart, but also other structures of the cardiovascular system. The heart is located in the anterior mediastinum. For this reason, it displays medially in the PA projection and close to the sternum in the lateral projection. In this PA projection, we have to imagine that the patient is disposed in front of us, so the left border of the heart shape would be to our right and would be composed from top to bottom by the aortic arch, the trunk of the pulmonary artery, the left atrium, and the left ventricle. It is important to point out that the structure that is visible at the level of the left atrium is the left atrial appendage, and that its border tends to be concave, not convex. By its side, the right border of the heart shape is to our left, and it is composed from bottom to top by the right atrium, the ascending aorta, and the superior vena cava. In the lateral projection, right cavities of the heart are closer to the sternum because they are more anterior, while left cavities are closer to the spine because they are more posterior. So we can identify the aortic arch, the left atrium, the left ventricle, the right ventricle, and the ascending aorta. Notice that in this projection, it is not normal to identify the right atrium. In addition to studying specific structures, estimating the cardiothoracic index is more important because it can be a radiological sign of cardiopathy. This is obtained by dividing the maximum horizontal diameter of the heart by the diameter of the chest. When its value is superior to 0.5, we can say that the size of the heart shape has increased, which could be related to cardiomegaly or pericardial effusion. Finally, before analyzing a chest X-ray, we must ensure that it is made in deep inspiration, otherwise the heart shape is increased and pulmonary fields decrease, pulmonary circulation redistributes, and everything as a whole can make us think of the existence of a cardiopathy when there is none. Number 2. As you know, radiology has evolved a lot throughout the last 100 years, and nowadays it is possible to study morphological and functional aspects of the different cardiovascular structures through the use of X-rays, catheters, and intravascular contrast material. Here we have, for example, a left ventriculography. As you can see, we are not only capable of detecting different anatomical structures related with this cavity, but we are also able to measure the ejection fraction or the pressures inside. In the same way, contrast can be injected in other cardiovascular structures, for example, coronary arteries. This has revolutionized the treatment of the ischemic heart disease because coronary angiography is not only a fundamental diagnostic tool, but also an essential therapeutic tool in the percutaneous coronary interventionism. For more information in this matter, you can take a look at our section Code Flash. Number 3. Echocardiography is one of the most used cardiac image tests nowadays. Although echographic study of the heart can be executed by different tools, today we will focus on the identification of classical structures using the 2D mode of transthoracic echocardiography. This is a left parasternal long-axis view in which we can identify the left atrium, the left ventricle, the aortic root, the right ventricle, the mitral valve, and the aortic valve. This projection is known as left parasternal short-axis view, made at the level of the aortic valve. As you can see, the movement of the 3 aortic valves are easily exposed in this projection, which is why it is useful in the study of aortic valvulopathy. Moreover, this projection allows us to identify other structures such as, for example, the left atrium, the right atrium, the interatrial septum, the tricuspid valve, the right ventricle, the pulmonary valve, and the trunk of the pulmonary artery. What is interesting about this short axis is that we can make it at any level of the heart, allowing us to study other structures such as the mitral valve. Other classical projection is the apical 4 chambers view. In this projection, we can evaluate the 4 cardiac cavities, the mitral and tricuspid valves, and the interventricular and interatrial septa. This projection is very helpful in the study of valvulopathies or the systolic or diastolic function of the left ventricle, among other things. Beginning with the 4 chambers view, it is quite easy to change into an apical 5 chambers view. In this case, we only expose the left ventricle outflow tract, the aortic valve, and the aortic root. Finally, a projection that cannot be missing is the subcostal view, which allows us to study in detail the septa, the inferior vena cava, the hepatic veins, and the pericardium. Number 4. Cardiac MRI is a novel tool that obtains images through the exposure of the tissues to radiofrequency pulses amidst a powerful magnetic field. In this way, morphological and functional information of the examined tissues is acquired, which is useful in the study of different cardiopathies. Obtaining images using different locators and sequences is more common. Basic locators are based on planes sagittal, coronal, and axial. Specific locators like standard echocardiographic projections are built with them, and later different sequences are made according to the object of interest. Spin echo sequences are classically known as dark blood sequences, since moving structures, such as blood, do not cast any signal, which turns out to be really helpful to get anatomical information of still structures or with low movement, such as the pericardium, bulks, myocardium, and so on. Meanwhile, steady-state free precession sequence, also known as SSFP, are known as white blood sequence because blood shines brighter than the myocardium. These sequences have an elevated temporal resolution so that they can be analyzed in cine-MRI mode, being easy this way to study flows and contractility. Meanwhile, phase contrast sequences are used to visualize and measure blood flows, besides measuring speeds and estimating flow gradients, which end up being quite interesting in the study of valvular insufficiencies and shunts. Finally, there are other even more specific sequences, for example, sequences of late gadolinium enhancement, myocardial perfusion, or 3D angiography, but the details of these protocols are going to be seen in later videos. Number 5. Cardiac CT currently constitutes one of the main tools for the non-invasive study of coronary lesions, which is an intriguing alternative in patients in which cardiac catheterization is not convenient. However, this tool can be used in multiple scenarios, such as the study of aortic stenosis, pericardial disease, cardiac masses, congenital cardiopathies, and the study of aortic and great vessels pathology. Anyway, visualization of cardiac structures is not easy because of their movement, so great spatial and temporal resolution equipment with capacity to synchronize the study with heartbeats and breathing is needed. Typically, beta blockers are administered to decrease heart frequency below 65 beats per minute, and the patient is asked to make intentional apneas in order to avoid breathing interference. All of this is made with the objective of improving image definition. As you can see, we have a lot to show in this new section because the world of cardiac imaging is broad and appealing. However, our time is over. It has been all for today at Cardio Flash College. We hope you liked the video. If so, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. We'll see you in the next class. And remember, don't come late. Bye.